Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace. Coming up this afternoon, Vice President Dr. Bawumia criticizes the country's tax structure as not fit for purpose and wants the system to change and become competitive.
We are going to start with a clean slate in 2025. And that is why in 2025, we are going to grant a tax amnesty to all businesses and individuals and start.
We will subject that to analysis. Also coming up, a conversation on data and technology gaps in media and marketing ecosystem here in Ghana and how to address those gaps. My name is Daryl Kwawu. Thanks for being with us. Details coming up. And thanks for staying with us, everyone. Vice President Dr. Bawumia has criticized the country's tax structure as not fit for purpose and wants the system to change and become competitive. The Vice President is also promising tax amnesty for all businesses if he is elected president. He has been engaging the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Take a listen.
We are going to start with a clean slate in 2025. And that is why in 2025, we are going to grant a tax amnesty to all businesses and individuals and start afresh. We are going to start a new system. It's a flat tax system. So we are going to wipe the slate clean for every individual and every business. And Ghana is going to start a new tax system, a flat tax system, as we have in Estonia. And in addition, we are going to do faceless audits. Officials should not come to businesses to do audits. The digital framework, you should have the information and audit facelessly and send whatever your audit findings are. But to prevent harassment, audits of any company cannot be more than once in 5 years unless there's a reason. Unless there's a reason.
All right, joining me on Zoom is tax analyst Francis Moboy. Interesting remarks by the Vice President. We want to subject those remarks to some analysis, one after the other. And I want to first start with his criticism of the country's tax structure, Francis, which he says must be changed to make us more competitive. What do you make of those remarks? You're muted.
I think you can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yes. I was saying that the tax system we have in Ghana requires some reform, and I'm aware that the Ghana Revenue Authority has started some processes to reform it, especially in a country where we have majority of our economic activity occurring in the informal sector. You realize that the tax that we have doesn't address their issues. It's a little complex, and so we need to, make it a little bit simpler so that they can comply. So on that front, I think that we need to, all over the world, many countries are embarking on simplification of the tax system. And I think that we have to do that.
All right, we'll come later to what should be done, but the Vice President also raises issues about the targets set by the Ghana Revenue Authority, which he says are unrealistic, and then they end up harassing the business community for taxes. Do you think that was a fair comment to make?
I don't think it's a fair comment. Why? Because the targets that the GRA pursues are in the budget. The question is who prepared the budget, who presented it to Parliament, and who approved the budget. You have projected some amount of revenue and then its corresponding expenditure. So certainly you looked at the number before you decided to spend. So if GRA is going after that amount, GRA is just giving the target. And again, GRA is under the Ministry of Finance, which is a component of the executive. So we need to go back and see if we think that the targets are unrealistic, then it is influenced by what we want to spend. Because if you get to a point where you can't, borrow any longer, and we are all saying that we need to mobilize domestic revenue in an economy where GDP is not growing and businesses are suffering, what do you expect? How do we want GRA to collect the money for the expenditures we have outlined in the budget? So I think that we just have to be fair to the GRA. Look, they are the targets were given to them by government.
Exactly. And then he mentions tax amnesty for businesses. I'm sure you saw the clip there. There was so much applause to that. How realistic, how workable is a tax amnesty for businesses if he should be elected president?
So Daryl, tax amnesty is a periodic, waiver of taxes for tax evaders. And it is not done only in Ghana. However, if you continue to use them, we think that it is an abuse, and therefore you discredit the tax system. 2006, we had a tax waiver, a tax amnesty. 2012, we had one. 2017, we had one. And then 2021 to 2022, we had another one. So if you are saying that taxpayers and tax evaders who did not comply with the law are going to be forgiven their taxes because they didn't comply, they didn't pay the taxes, and every 5 years you're going to, forgive and let them start on a clean slate. What you are telling the tax system, other taxpayers, is that you can go to sleep. There's no need to comply, and therefore you 5 years down the line, every tax that is due you, we're going to wipe it away. I think that we may be discrediting the system, especially in 2022 when we just closed the interest and penalty waiver law. I think that we should wait a little bit. Again, it's a bit costly because you're going to lose a lot of revenue in terms of the penalties and interest. Maybe what we could do is that we could allow taxpayers who did not, comply with the law, we structure some installment payment for them. In that case, we are still collecting the revenue, and then whilst making sure that other taxpayers are complying with the law. If we continue to use it frequently, people will watch and say, 2 years, 3 years down the line, the non-compliance, nobody is coming to arrest me, and therefore I should also wait and see. When it comes, I take advantage of it.
All right, I may be wrong, but haven't we tried implementing some tax amnesty measures in previous times? And how did they work out, really, by way of education?
So the purpose of the amnesty is to widen the tax base. In the 2017 one that we did, the GRA came out and said that, look, we didn't achieve the purpose because when taxpayers' offenses or compliance, we forgive them. We expect a lot more new companies to come forward to register and then start complying. But what we see is that at the end of the period, we don't see any new base being widened. And so you can say that the purpose, the long-term effect for which we are looking for in widening the tax base, we don't achieve them. And that could be the reason why we continue to do tax amnesty every 5 years. Like I mentioned, it discredits the tax system, and other taxpayers will say they will also not comply in the immediate term because very soon they are going to be forgiving their tax offenses. I think that it is too early for us to be talking about tax waiver, especially when we just finished one in 2022.
And Francis, it is an election year. Many politicians will be looking to court the business community and making promises around taxes, if you like. You have agreed that our tax system needs some review. What if you have to advise the politicians, what would you say they should turn their focus to? What should change about the country's tax system?
I think that the number of tax lines that we have in Ghana is too many, especially the indirect taxes. If you go to the market and you buy anything, look at the tax amount that you have paid, it's so much. We should focus on minimizing the number of taxes that we have, especially the indirect tax. Again, let's go to the port. Daryl, you import one item and sometimes you have to pay 3-4 times the amount, especially if it is being converted into cedis. It is too much. I don't know whether you've heard about some importers saying that cargo traffic is being diverted to other neighboring countries. And it's because of our taxes. So if you really want to favor the business community, let's focus on those areas. Make the business community, the business environment more friendly for people to, comply and simplify the tax system. So I was happy with the simplification of the taxes, where he said he's going to introduce a flat rate. That is good because it will make the whole thing simpler. But then we have to also be careful we don't introduce some regressiveness into the system, because if the poor is paying a flat rate of percentage and then the rich is also paying amount, then we are not being fair. We are ignoring a very important principle in taxation, which is about the ability to pay. So we should look at simplifying the tax system. Again, I'm expecting them to come out with clear tax policies to deal with the informal sector. Most of the economic activity that we have in Ghana are driven by the informal sector, but we don't have any clear policy of taxing such persons. Again, they are the majority who demand government resources and government services. So we need to come out. We've tried it in the past. For example, the tax stamp is not been working very well. The vehicle income tax for commercial drivers is not been working very well. The revenue coming from that sector is very small, yet they contribute the largest to the GDP. So what are we doing? We need a clear policy to deal with them. And I believe that if they're able to put those things in their manifestos, it will go a long way to change our tax system we have in Ghana.
All right, Francis Timoboy, the tax analyst, appreciate your insight as always on the marketplace. Now, Wilma Africa has launched Fortune All-Purpose Margarine, Fortune Spread, and Shortening. The Fortune All-Purpose Margarine is enriched with vitamin A and D to boost nutritional value and is suitable for baking, toasting, cooking, and spreading as a food enhancer. Launching the products and commissioning of the largest margarine factory in Ghana, Atema, General Manager of Wilma Africa Limited, Sean Yeo, said the products are being manufactured locally to create jobs and boost the country's economy. Here's more in this report.
As a way of increasing its investment and boost the country's economy, Wilma Africa Limited, a subsidiary of Wilma International, begins manufacturing of Fortune All-Purpose Margarine, Spread, and Shortening locally. The margarine factory is the 7th plant of Wilma Africa Limited, having already built plants refining crude palm oil from its plantations, packaging and distribution of edible palm oils, rice, soaps, and detergents. The margarine plant, which is the largest in the country, has a total monthly capacity of 1,555 metric tons, producing shortening, all-purpose margarine, and low-fat spread. General Manager of Wilma Africa Limited, Sean Yeo, says Fortune Margarine is enriched with vitamins as a downstream product in the palm oil value chain.
There might be a lot of margarine out in the market, like what we said in the speech earlier. A lot of the margarines are imported. We are one of the few that is locally made. It's fresh. You can assure of our quality because you can see our state-of-the-art the plant. And we also ensure, our production team always ensures that all our margarine and our spreads, like our tagline, is always on point, whether it's in quality or in taste. Our main raw material, which is oil, also a lot of them comes from our local palm plantations, which is to show how integrated Wilma is in the entire palm value chain in Ghana itself.
Sean Yeo is asking government to provide the right business environment, policies of trade that protect and drive sustainability. He is worried about smuggling and how it impacts on companies that produce locally.
Businesses in Ghana definitely do face challenges. One of it, especially in the oil industry, is the influx of a lot of smuggled oil from our neighboring countries into Ghana itself. So this is one of the challenges. This suppresses the price. It creates an unfair cost base between the smugglers and established organized company like us. So therefore, this is one of the challenges. And of course, I think sometimes there's a lot of there's also challenges in terms of sometimes foreign exchange and of course interest rates, high interest rates environment. But I think like all businesses, we always try to do our best to manage. And of course, it would be definitely welcome that of course the government will definitely try to help in whatever way possible.
Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Michael Oshibefi, representing Sector Minister Katie Hammond, assured Wilma Africa Limited of government support for growth of industry through policies.
Today marks a significant milestone with the launch of Wilma's margarine and spread under the brand name Fortune. This new product signifies the company's commitment to the Ghanaian market. We also celebrate the commissioning of the state-of-the-art production facility, reportedly the largest margarine factory in Ghana. Let me take this opportunity to commend the management of Wilma Africa Limited for believing in the corporate Ghana story, which is the compelling one. An additional investment made underscores the confidence that the private sector has in the government's ongoing effort to turn the economic fortunes of the country around. The government will continue to build an enabling and predictable environment that is so transparent for business to thrive, and also to enhance the operations of the private sector for sustainable growth.
Wilma Africa is sourcing crude palm oil from its 6,799 hectares benzo oil palm plantation in the western region for the production of the Fortune margarine. Stakeholders, including government officials, regulators, retailers and distributors, traditional authorities, among others, were present for the launch and commissioning.
All right, you're watching The Marketplace. Thanks for staying, everyone. Now, the bottom line is that the marketing ecosystem is powered by data, and that data is used to drive advertising and targeting, which is how the system makes money. Now, companies need to engage, understand, and activate consumer relationships. This afternoon, we want to take a look at the data and technology gaps in the media and marketing ecosystem and how that can be addressed. Joining me in studio is Bright Lajakwo, who is CEO of PhD Ghana, Matt Angus Hammond, Regional Director, Jopo West Africa, and Peter Olum, who is Technology Development Manager, OMG West and Central Africa. Thank you so much for joining me in studio to have this conversation on how we address the data and technology gaps in the media and marketing ecosystem. I want to first start off with, because I was reading a piece that was sent to me about the availability of AMPS data, which is an All Media and Product Survey. It's typically done,
Typical
in a year, once a year, 6 to 8 months. Annually, yeah. When was the last time we had such information here in Ghana?
Unfortunately for Ghana, it's been a long time, over a decade. We haven't had what we call AMPS. In Ghana, we call it the GAMPS report. Okay. We haven't had one in over a decade.
How is that?
A couple of things. The funding gap that has existed over the years has culminated in a lack of practice and requirement for such data. And it's become commonplace to think that it's okay not to have that data. But you and I know that data actually provides a very powerful lens for us to understand the complexities around looking for the consumer today. It's a rapidly changing landscape. It's a tough time economically. And so it doesn't bode well for us as a market and as practitioners to work without a lot of data. And for that matter, data that is available quite recently. So even if we don't have GAMS, we have radio and TV audience measurement surveys, RAMs and TAMs we call it. But even that, it comes slowly, lags behind a couple of months. So by the time you're seeing the data and applying the insights from the data, it's old, because the consumer has moved on. They've changed their behavior. There may be some seasonality to it, or there may be an occasion, something may have happened, people would have changed. And so we need to have recency to the data that we have, if even we have it at all.
Yeah, because I was wondering how then businesses are planning, especially in the media landscape, with this unavailability of data, if you like. And so what's the level of availability, Matt, of data for the kind of work that maybe companies and marketers need for their business?
Yeah, I mean, as Brian said, there's very little. And I mean, good afternoon to all the viewers and listeners. It would be fantastic for example, the advertisers, which will no doubt cut to an ad break soon, and advertisers are going to want to pay for that advertising slot. But if we can't tell them exactly how many people are watching right now, exactly how many people are listening now, and also tell them anything about them. Who are they? What do they want? What are their passions? What are their fears? Then it's very, very difficult to make a compelling argument to the advertiser, as, for example, Joy News, as to why they should pay a premium to advertise on your program. And we don't need to know, they don't need to know on average over the course of 2 months how many people are watching Joy News. They need to know how many people are watching Joy News right now. And they need to know that tomorrow.
In real time.
Latest. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Today is best, tomorrow is okay. Next week, next month, no.
Yeah, and which would you target in trying to gather data that is relevant for marketers and media planners?
It's everyone. It's everyone watching and listening now. It's everyone in Ghana. Your typical audience measurement system, like for example, we've just begun implementing in Nigeria, requires a very large-scale commitment from the industry. You have to do a big establishment survey up front because you need to be able to extrapolate your survey results to a national population. So instead of saying 27% of our panel watch Joy News today, we have to be able to say, whatever it is, 4.5 million Ghanaians watch Joy News today. And that requires a very scientific approach. And the others, so there's that, which is obviously quite cumbersome and slow-moving and requires typically government involvement or an industry-level agreement. Mm-hmm. The other side of it is agile, flexible, daily data, which can start at quite a small scale. And on the principle that some data is better than nothing, you can start quite small and build it up from there. And that's what we've been doing with PhD.
All right, so apart from numbers, what else are you looking at in terms of the insights you're trying to pick from the data you gather?
I'll hand over to Peter. I mean, Peter's the cook in the kitchen. I supply the ingredients. Peter does the cooking. Bright is the waiter who delivers it to clients.
Yeah, so it's really a holistic approach, right? So we are looking into the day in the life of the consumers. We are overlaying that data with how they interact with products and services. We are also sort of doing specialized qualitative surveys in the form of like focus groups, right? To sort of drill deeper, right? Quantitative is good, qualitative is good as well, but the amalgamation of these two types of data sources gives you a more rounded insight into how you can leverage technology and data to deliver better value as a brand, as even down to government, as a matter of fact. But generally speaking, what we are preaching today is data agility.
Okay.
Right? Data agility, just like my colleagues have said, planning based on a month ago data is like working on archive data. Exactly. But if you could take action based on what is happening right now, that is, the stuff.
Yeah, so I guess the question now is how do we ensure sustainability and better coverage and regularity of data collection with limited funding as a big challenge? How do we do that?
Yeah, so it takes industry level. Sometimes it has to take policy, even at governmental level, to say that we need to be more efficient in the use of our investment into targeting consumers, whether you're targeting voters or whatever you're doing. You have to be very effective because the resources are challenged in these times. And so we need to invest in order to be able to save ourselves from wasting our resources, the scanty resources we have, in not being precise enough, not using the right kind of insights to be able to be cost efficient at targeting and reaching consumers at the time we need to reach them. And so we are launching a product called Ocular.
Okay.
It's a consumer intelligence platform which provides live dashboard from the live analytics that is being done by the technology that we have developed. So you can go there, whether you're a client or agency or media owner, to interrogate the data and see trends from yesterday through to the point where you can begin to predict what people will do next month.
Okay, so how does it work? What's the experience like? You taking that?
Yeah. So it's basically a live dashboard, right? We're partnered with Jopo. Matt sits in Jopo. He's the West and Central Africa Regional Director. So they have research capabilities across all types of research, whether it's face-to-face, mobile, SMS, whatever you can think of, right? So they do the research, using whatever methodologies and technologies they have deployed, and then they make that available to us programmatically. So we synchronize that data, and then we do a bit of additional cleaning and make it available live on the dashboard. So from a marketing standpoint, you're sitting down on the Ocular platform today, you're looking at trends that starts as soon as yesterday, downward, and then you're able to take immediate action, exactly.
Okay. Unfortunately, we have to end this conversation, but it's pretty insightful, some of the things that we are learning about media and marketing, and I'm excited about Ocular, so hopefully in future we'll hear more about it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
CEO of PhD Ghana, Mad Angus Hammond, Regional Director, Jopo West Africa, Peter Olom, who is Technology and Development Manager, OMG West and Central Africa. Thank you guys for coming in studio.
Thank you.
And that's the marketplace. Thanks for watching. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Daryl Kwawu. Thanks for watching. We are back same time tomorrow.